This morning we had a parent's worst nightmare. That's to wake up and discover that your child is not in bed with you. We had a 3-year-old that was able to get out of where he was sleeping with the father and get out of an apartment complex that's in the Broad River Road area. Once the father realized the child was gone, started looking for him, we got called in. We realized that this was just not a child that had wandered off. We had a witness that saw the child with a woman, not connected to the family. Then we started getting ring cameras and videos from that and discovered that this woman had actually taken the child. The family started calling more family members. The apartment complex turned out. We called out a lot of deputies. We started searching, knocking on doors. And then the father heard the child make a noise and saw a lady walking with his child. And he was able to approach her and get the child away. At that point, she got into an Uber. They flagged us down and said, hey, there she is, she's going in that vehicle. We stopped the Uber driver. Lady in the back, Miss Thomas, was there. We arrested her, and she's charged with kidnapping. Her motive, we have no clue. We do know that in 2023, she was arrested for child neglect. So we haven't been able to kind of put together if she was substituting this child for her child or what. But she had a child. She'd actually changed the child's clothing. So again, we have a lot of unknowns in this case, but what we do know is the child has been recovered, the child is safe, and is back home. And one of the worst fears and nightmares as a community you can have, as a law enforcement agency, and definitely as a parent, is to know that your child is missing and then has been kidnapped by somebody. So everything turned out well this morning. Our child was gone for about 4 hours. Our deputies were very emotional. How they got involved in it, and just knowing what was at stake was to find that child very quickly.
So I guess, what do you believe that the women's intention was?
I don't know. I can only guess at this point, going back for her maybe losing her child and substituting this child for hers. We don't know what her motivation was at this point, what was in her mind, but we do know is that she took that child and she was leaving with that child. She had already called an Uber and was going to go away from the complex. So again, there's a lot of unknowns here. This investigation is very active at this point. Our main goal was to recover the child. We've done that, and so we'll go from there.
As far as you know, there's no correlation between the woman and the family?
None whatsoever. None. There is no correlation whatsoever. They don't know each other, have no relationship, really have never seen each other before. So this is not a family abduction or a friend abduction. This is really a stranger abduction. One of the worst things that you can have.
Kind of a creepy scenario. What are your thoughts on this woman changing the kid's clothes? I know it was 3, and it was kind of like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Again, that kind of goes into just my guess, and maybe she is thinking this is her child or substituting this child for her child. We don't know at this point.
Does she show signs of like mental illness or anything like that?
That's hard to determine at this point.
Okay.
Again, that's going to be where we're going to go from this point on. There's a lot of stuff that we have to work on. But the main thing is that we got the child back, and the parents are very happy. But again, it's one of those things that's one of the worst cases you can have is when you have a child that's been missing like this. I appreciate the family coming together, the community coming together, our people working. It was a very group effort out there in that area to find this child, and we did.
Does Thomas live in the area?
We're not even sure about that at this point. We don't know exactly where she stays or where she had the child. Again, a lot of speculation. She may have went into an empty apartment. We just don't know. But we'll find out all those questions later. But I think the community needed to know that the child's been found, because we did put out alerts that, look, we have a missing 3-year-old, and that gets everybody's attention, which it should be. That's why we put it out, and that's why we use all the media to get the word out. So now we've got a happy ending to this case.
And so obviously, Caden was reunited with his father. It sounded like the woman kind of quite literally handed off the kid to him. Like, kind of take me through what that interaction was like.
Handing off. It was that the father took his child from this woman. So it wasn't. Oh, here's your child. You can have it. It was a little bit different than that. He took his child, which is what he should have done.
Yeah.
And then she went ahead and got into the vehicle, and And then they pointed the vehicle out to our deputies, and we were able to get it stopped. And they, quickly identified her from the video, and also from the people seeing her, that she was the one responsible.
So I guess, did she leave him somewhere and then run, and then he found him there?
No, she actually had the child in her arms when the father saw her, and she was headed to the Uber with the child in her arms. And the father heard a noise that child makes. He recognized that as being his child, and then he started looking and then saw her with the child. And that's when he confronted her and physically took the child from her, and then she continued on toward and got into the Uber and took off. But she didn't get far because we had the area surrounded. Again, very lucky, very fortunate. God smiled on all of us this morning.
Yeah, thank God. That's unbelievable. I mean, I guess did she bring Caden back to the area he was missing in?
We are thinking she stayed in that area the whole time, that she never left that area, but that she had gotten an Uber to leave that area with him. Again, we don't know. We don't know where she came from, exactly how she got her hands on. We do have a witness that saw her with the child earlier and actually spoke to her and said, "Oh, I know the parents. I'm bringing the child to the parents." That gentleman just took her for a word. Then later, once she came back in that area and saw all of us there with blue lights, knew that he had watched her kidnap that child. So, again, that's a very scary case last night. It came to a very happy ending.
Now, and
Thank you. That's good. That's it.